we go. All right, we are just after 4:30, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. And first thing, let's check to make sure we have live streaming active. Okay, I see thumbs up on that. That's excellent. We're going to do a roll call. We'll start over here with Stephen this time.
Steve Romanelli, member.
Rita Chandler.
Rachel Yondel, member.
David Benak, chair.
John Cruiser.
Thomas Dewhurst, member.
Excellent. We have 6 out of 8 current members, so that constitutes a quorum. So we're going to go ahead and keep things rolling along. We have an agenda that everyone should have received from Justin. If everyone has had a chance to review that, if I can get a motion to accept that, unless there are any amendments that people would like to make first.
I'll motion to approve it.
Okay.
Approve.
All right, we have
Seconded.
we have a motion and an approved. So all in favor?
Aye.
All right, looks like we're all good there.
Aye, Captain.
We also have minutes that were sent out with the agenda. If people have had a chance to review those. I didn't catch anything. Does anyone have any edits, or do we have a motion to accept those?
I have no edits. I'll motion to accept it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are good. We're going to move down to communications, and we have a chance for any board members first, and then we'll go to city staff. We'll start over with Thomas this time.
No, thank you.
You say comments?
Yep.
The only comments I have to say is congratulations to the neighborhood of City of Winchell, because they basically shot down the roundabouts, which I think is a great thing.
They weren't very popular, were they?
No, they were not, and they were going to cut down a lot of trees, and so it looks like they've gone to Plan B,
Okay.
which is good. And they also wanted to reallocate the funds that were appropriated for those roundabouts to other pressing issues in the city, which I thought was great.
Hopefully there'll be pressing issues that get addressed. No comments?
I guess the only comment I have is about an email received, I think, back in June or July, but I'm not sure if this is the time to mention that. No one's responded to. I have a draft. I just didn't want to send it without board.
What email is that? Or who's it from?
Oh, it's from Miguel Guerrero, and this was on June 3rd, 2025. It's called, titled Making a Connection.
Oh. If I remember that correctly, he just wanted, or the person just wanted a chance to meet with people?
Yep, overall, just trying to grow his network in Kalamazoo. He just moved here, and he talks about his Master's in Sustainability Management program, as well as concentration in management and policy. He just wants to grow his network, so.
Yeah, we'd love to have him stop in and introduce himself. Yeah, so you're welcome to respond. Steven?
No.
All right. Let's move to sustainability updates. Justin.
Yeah, compost program's continuing to grow. We now have bins for downtown residents that's housed at the Be Joyful shop there, so anyone living downtown can use that bin. Still going strong, expanding to a couple other kind of smaller service areas. Oakwood neighborhood now has one. bin there, and then the bins at Stockbridge are open. Sometimes that site is locked up, but you can, if you want to drop off any compostable material, you can just pull up alongside the sidewalk there and walk it over to the bins. Sometimes that gate is locked to prevent other types of dumping, but the bins at Stockbridge are ready to go and available. The Styrofoam event a couple weeks ago was a great hit. Started to collect some data. We had 371 vehicles come through in about 3 hours to drop off material. Got plenty of Styrofoam or EPS foam to get recycled. Those are the big things we're working on. Destiny has some invasive species pulls. You can check the city's website for that. The city rain barrel sale is going on. So if you are looking for a rain barrel or a composter, you can go on the city's website. We're partnering with Upcycle, and you can order a rain barrel or a composter, and those will be dropped off at 322 Stockbridge later in August, and we'll hand those out. I think that's about it for now.
Justin, a question. Did the city do any invasive species treatment in Jones Park, the little woodlot in Jones Park? Do you know? Over in West Main?
That's not where Destiny or I have been working. We've been working in Woods Lake, pulling invasive species there. So I'd have to check around and see.
It just looked like a month or so ago that some of the invasives had been removed. So I didn't know if that was the city or magic.
Yeah.
Jones Park, which is in West Main. Okay.
Yeah, I know Hannah's doing great work. Hannah's with the Parks Department. But yeah, our focus for the sustainability team has been on Woods Lake. So we've been doing pulls and trash pickups there at Woods Lake.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Justin? Okay, we're moving quickly then. That takes us to public comments. We have the email that Rita mentioned. I guess, does anybody else have any input on that one? Okay. There is another email that we're supposed to be getting a call about, so it's the one about air quality issues. So we can leave discussion on that until we get that call. So the phone lines are with public comment for callers and audience. We'll do 2 times. We'll do one at the beginning of the meeting here, and then we'll do another one at the end. So if you are listening, the phone number to call in is 888-382-9556. Again, that's 888-382-9556. Do we have any calls? Not yet. Okay. Seeing no one in the audience, I did have someone contact me to say that they intended to call in today, so I'd like to hold off on discussing the email about air quality just in case we do get that caller. It will make more sense too. And it would be the map that I sent everybody. It's about that issue as well. So it'd make more sense to hold off on that. Okay, so ask just one more time before we move on. Any calls come in yet? Nope, okay. So we're gonna move on and we will come back to public comments at the end of the meeting at the very last item. So let's go into reports. And we'll start with the natural features protection, which I believe we got John on that.
Thank you. A few things to report. I pulled this off in May, since we did not meet in June. They did approve the project, or they approved the NFP site plan for the project located at 1400 Harrison Street. And that's basically a graphic packaging campus redo. Not much there because it's already existing. That was the main thing in May. In July, they approved the NFP site plan for a project located on Stockbridge. And that is basically converting 2 parcels owned by the city into one. The developer wants to build 36 residential units. The ground floor would be non-residential space and parking. It's currently zoned CC and MI. And they also, yeah, I did mention the graphic packaging. In May, they also there's a new member on the NFP board, Laura Frederickson. There was a comment by who was that? Sorry, Miss McCarthy, and it was a letter to Planning Commission regarding amendments to the NFP code, Chapter 50-6.2 of the city zoning code. I did not have an opportunity to read that because the link that she had in the notes is not currently working on the city website. That is basically about it. I do have the printout of July 25th if people would like to see that. Goes in a little bit more detail about the project on Stockbridge. Seems like a nice project, and that's it for the NFP.
Any questions? Okay, then, we're going to move on. And Rita, do you have anything new for air and water quality?
I don't for water. There is a Kick Back and Breathe event hosted at 313 North Burdick Street on Wednesday, the 27th from 5:30 to 7:30. And they'll be discussing the Canadian wildfires.
Where is that again?
313 North Burdick Street at the Institute of Public Scholarship.
And I'm assuming, but I should ask just to make sure, is that open to everyone and free, et cetera?
Yes, it's open to everyone and free.
Okay. That would be a good event. Get everybody some more information. Any questions for Rita? Okay, wildlife, natural resources protection. I believe both of our reps for that one are not here today. Anybody else on that one? No? Okay. Planning Commission.
Yes, so this is going back to the July 9th Planning Commission meeting. There were 2 requests, both of which ended up being approved at 1303 Lake Street, just a transition from a single-family dwelling to a rooming house. Not really anything to note with that. And at 1516 Rockledge, replacing an existing communication tower. Again, I think they're moving it 12 feet to the right. I don't think it's a big, everything else will be within the already existing structures. So not a whole lot of change. To my knowledge, there was no August meeting though.
Okay. Anything on Planning Commission? We're moving pretty quick today. Sorry, we got plenty of stuff for our unfinished business. Tree Committee.
Yes, thank you. We met in August, and I wanted to call to your attention a new standard department policy that the Department of Public Services is going to be implementing effective immediately. And the title is Hazardous Tree Removal. And I'll give you just a brief overview of what this is. Basically, there are 4 trees that are causing a lot of problems, infrastructure, tree damage, specific tree species, and I'll mention those: silver maple, Norway maple, Siberian elm, non-fruiting ornamental pear, and Callery pear, and other non-fruiting pear cultivars. So I can go slower.
Silver maple,
Norway maple, Siberian elm, non-fruiting ornamental pear, Callery pear, and then they just list other non-fruiting pear cultivars. So all these trees are currently prohibited by City of Kalamazoo code from being planted. But the issue is there's an overabundance of these trees that have been planted in the past. They represent about 35% of the existing canopy. It's an aging canopy, and so here's their concerns, that these specific tree species have and continue to be overrepresented in storm damage, tree failure events, and component tree failure events, infrastructure damage, private property damage, and life safety incidents. So and this represents about 7,000 trees within the city of Kalamazoo. So the purpose of this is not to go out and cut these all down, but as damage is sustained in windstorms or through aging in the curb lawn right-of-way, the city's policy going forward will be to remove them and replace them 2-to-1 with any of a whole list of trees that are listed in the city's tree manual. So they're just seeing, especially, in the May event, if you saw damage in any of the neighborhoods or on Channel 3 TV, it's a good chance it was a silver maple or a Norway maple, just as they age and fall over. And you saw them on cars, on houses, power lines, all that. So this is an internal document. It doesn't require city commission approval. They're going forward with it. And they require the standard 2-to-1 replacement with either small, medium, or large species. So I wanted you to be aware of that. So if anybody, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But it seemed pretty straightforward to me that this is just looking at it from a practical standpoint of we don't need to plant more of these right now because we have a list of about 40 other trees that are acceptable to be planted.
So before you go,
Yeah.
if people in the community see a tree that's damaged, that's one of these, is there something that people can do to identify these for the city to assess, or is this going to be entirely city-driven?
No, I think it's always driven by, well, a number of things. Storm events drive it. The utility companies drive this by reporting to the city arborist. Also, people can call 311 anytime and report, hey, we have a tree, we have a dead tree. I did that a couple weeks ago by email to the city arborist saying, here's the pictures, here's the address. These 2 trees are dead and they keep dropping branches onto the street. So they add that to their list of planned removals, and that's different than storm-related removals. Also, kind of related to this is the city enters into contracts with tree removal companies to go through the neighborhoods and do pruning or tree removal in right-of-ways. For example, starting, I believe it's in September, there's a company that will start at Douglas Avenue and head east to Riverview Drive. And they'll work on that for the rest of this year and on into next year. But the goal is to be in every neighborhood once every 10 years to work on pruning and kind of trying to get ahead of the curve a little bit. So that's their overall goal. Obviously that's a challenge, but that's what they want to do. Questions?
I think it's a good policy. I'd like to see it be even a little bit more aggressive and just remove those, especially the Norways, the pears, and the Siberian elms. They're so invasive.
Not only invasive, but as they die, they tend to die from the top down, and you lose a lot through, what would you say, wind and storm damage. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's especially with the silvers. They rot from the inside and don't close off their wounds. But the Norways are just such a weak tree that they get any pressure, they just break.
Yeah. So, I think with many city services, the challenge is to be able to keep up with the demand.
Okay.
And I know that that's, but I would just encourage anybody who, listening to our, our meetings or in our minutes to say, call 311, let people know if you have a tree on your curb lawn that you think is a problem, that's dying, that's dead, that needs removed, and then they'll pass that along to the city arborist. Thank you.
Yep. And Justin, you may know this, that in places where there is not a curb lawn, the city right-of-way is it 10 feet from the road, or is it from the center? Is there a distance? Because I know we don't have a curb lawn in my yard, but the tree just behind the sidewalk is still one that the city has jurisdiction over.
I don't have that answer, David, but I'll ask at our next meeting, because when someone comes to the tree committee and says, we have a project that we would like to remove this tree, the city engineers always have, they're looking at drawings, and I'm not sure if it's from the center line of the street or not, but I think that's how they measure it. And
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's from the center of the street, there's a specified distance. And so even if you don't have a curb lawn, if there's a tree close to the street, probably within, I would say, about 10 feet of the street edge, it may qualify for one of these city treatments. So keep that in mind, even if it's not a formal curb lawn. Any other questions for Thomas? ELPA, Asylum Lake, we don't have David here, but John can probably cover for us on that one.
Yeah, I can cover for that. There's really nothing really new to report about Asylum Lake. There is going to be a community cleanup this Saturday at 10 o'clock. They'll be also wanting to wrap some of the existing trees that are there, because the beavers like to get a little bit active in the fall. In the winter, a lot of the trees have been wrapped with chicken wire to prevent the beaver from chewing down the hardwoods. Those are the basic ones that we've been wrapping, are the oaks and the hickories and some of the valuable ornamentals. There's not much. There's been some construction that Western's going to be doing on the spillway trail due to some erosion issues. And there's always the ongoing invasive species management that we always have done once or twice a year. But it'd be nice to have some of the community members turn out this Saturday at 10 o'clock and help with cleaning up the trash, wrapping some trees, and just, getting to know each other. I mean, it's the largest green space in the city of Kalamazoo, not owned by the city, but it's a worthwhile cause.
So it is a large green space with multiple entrances. There's multiple entrances. If people want to participate on Saturday, where would they meet?
Drake Road would be the best. Drake, there's two parking areas, one on Parkview, one on Drake. We would prefer that everybody goes to the Drake, because that's where centrally it's going to be located. And we're trying to keep the activities such a big area to have easier access from Drake than from Parkview. Thank you.
Any other questions? You want to fill us in on Parks and Rec?
Sure, we'll keep on going. Parks and Rec, the only one that I saw was June 3rd, and there's been some volunteer initiatives or adoption of the parks by the Academy Green Adoption and the Kalamazoo Junior Girls at MLK Park. They're also, shared an update from the Arcadia Creek Festival Place Redesign Committee. There was discussion around using a future completed phase of the park for a major fundraising gala to support citywide parks and potentially a future parks millage campaign. And it also stated that the construction at the Verberg Park is pending permit approval, and planned features include a pump track, kayak launch, and shelter upgrades. There was nothing that I could see that indicated anything in regards to their ongoing activities for invasive species management. So if they are doing that, it would be nice that they would include that in the minutes so the general public would have an idea of what's going on and why they're there and what they're doing, more importantly, because education is key on that. And I didn't see anything in the notes for July or August meeting on the city website.
The Academy Green adoption, that's actually my wife and I. We adopted that park. It's a good program. Anybody who enjoys the city parks, adopting a park really just obligates you to do a couple of cleanups in that park each year. Really just the goal is to get people more engaged with the park spaces that they live near. So if you're looking at doing that, contact the Parks Department or just call 311 and you can get some more information. Odor Task Force, Kalamazoo River Watershed Council, they've got a lot of stuff going on as always. Canoe the Kazoo events, they have a big event on the 30th, but no policy or significant cleanup or restoration work that they're doing at the moment. Lots of outreach though. And Odor Task Force has not met. We can go to Waste Working Group with Stephen.
Yeah, and I'll just do some highlights that Justin didn't cover a little earlier, so just a couple of things. So the next cycle project, it's still ongoing at this point, and apparently they're looking to make the proposal sometime this fall. So they're in the process now of starting to familiarize, especially the decision makers, with what's needed through that. So we should see something in the next couple of months. Let's see. The next waste collection, where they do those big things, that'll be October 25th. Let's see. Just a couple of other things that just ahas. Chris was reviewing this on the call the other day. Apparently, for recycling, just in general, about 1,200 tons have already been collected. And they're expecting that to increase because by the end of the year, over the next few months, because there have been a number of new recycle bins that have been delivered to households. So I think that's going to just continue to increase, our recycling. Plus, I'm sure you've seen the mailers, and there's a lot of information out there. The next bulk trash pickup is going to occur in September. So just FYI, you might as well check your schedule if you need that. And I know Justin had mentioned about the rain barrel sales. Just an FYI, you have to finalize it by the August 27th, and then they must be picked up by August 30th. So if you know anybody that might be interested in that, please let them know. They need to let the city know. And then they're going to have to be able to pick it up as well. And there's a website that I can always, share with you guys after the meeting. So if you wanted to check that out or send it to your neighbors, that's fine. And a little bit about the Kalamazoo River cleanup, that's September 20th. That's all that I have.
For a clarification, the October 25th, is that the EPS and electronics?
Yes, yes.
And the time on that, do you have it?
I don't, but I could look it up.
Okay, well, it's just, we've got the date, so we've got that locked in.
I think those normally run, and correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but I think they run from 10 to 1 or 10 to 2, something
Sounds
like
right.
that.
Yeah, it's 10 to 1
Okay,
at Mayor's Riverfront Park.
thank you. And any other questions for Stephen? Rachel, native species and urban landscape.
I just had an event to announce. The Kalamazoo Area Wild Ones is doing a fall plant exchange. It's September 7th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Crane Park. Only Michigan native plants are allowed, but you just come, you drop off plants at 9 a.m. and then come back to browse and take plants home around 1. And from my knowledge, you don't have to donate plants to be able to pick up.
That's correct. Very good. Great organization.
What's the date again, September 7th?
Yep.
Thank you.
And fall's a great time to plant native plants too. So
It's a great time to plant trees too, because they won't need nearly as much care and watering because,
Yeah, they won't be stressed too much.
yeah.
But don't wait till December to put it in the ground.
No. September, October are good months for
Before the
tree
ground
planting.
freezes
Yeah.
hard,
Yep. Okay, so that's all of our committees. That takes us into unfinished business, and we have a few things to cover. The first item on our unfinished business, it would be good if we could handle this. We do not currently have a vice chair. It would be excellent if someone was willing to self-nominate for that position. Basically, the obligation is to run meetings when I am not present. There's really nothing else that you're expected to do. If we have no volunteers, I will see if I can recruit someone before the next meeting, because we do need to get that filled. So if someone changes their mind, decides they are interested, let me know, either by email after the meeting before next month, or you can just jump in and say you want to do it. Okay. There are a handful of things that are outstanding that we started with talking about the bylaws. I found about 4 things that I don't think we've settled that we can probably just work through. I think this should be relatively simple. But the one that we do have to get is the one that is on the agenda. We currently have a committee of 9 members. The ordinance that created the ECC and the suggested bylaws from the city indicate 11 members. Last time we decided that we thought that was too many. And I think our decision was that we think 9 is a good number. We do need to vote on that, and one of the things we'll have to do is we will have to make a request to the city to change the ordinance if we change that number. It's not a difficult thing, we just need to ask to make that happen. So my recollection is last time we ended with the language of being up to 9 members and defining a quorum as 50% plus 1 of the membership of the board.
Right.
If there's any discussion on that, go ahead.
This is just kind of repeating what we had talked about at our last meeting. When we had, under the current bylaws, it says we're supposed to have 11 members, but in all practicality, we've hardly ever had 11 members for more than a minute or 2. And usually we're at 8 or 9, somewhere in that range. So I just think it's really very practical for us to say 9. And then if we have an opening, to try to recruit somebody to fill that, rather than to always scrambling to have 11. So to me, it's just seems very practical to go with 9, and I'd be happy to make somewhat of a detailed resolution if need be, or motion.
The only clarification that I think we need to make there is we can say 9 as a set number, and then quorum is 5. Or we could say up to 9, and quorum is 50% plus 1. Because we currently, if we end up with 7 members because 2 people resign, quorum is still 5 if we set that number. Yeah, so that's my only, I know based on what the attorney said, the city is going to be much happier if we say 9 instead of up to 9. But I don't really care. We should do whatever works best for our board.
My opinion is up to 9 and with the 50% plus 1.
I would support that. I agree.
I agree.
Up to 9, 50% plus 1 for quorum.
I agree as well. Was the attorney, though, pressing us to have a solid number for quorum? I mean, I guess regardless, we can say what we
I think it said majority.
No, the suggested sets the quorum at 6, and I do remember the attorney saying that the city would prefer a set number so that things don't have this fluctuation to them. But there's no legally, I don't see a reason why that's necessary. It simplifies things, obviously, to say with quorum's 5 no matter what. You've got 6 members, you got 5 members, you got whatever, it's 5, but that makes it more difficult to operate.
I do have one question, and I don't recall if it was asked of the city attorney, but I'll just bring it up again. Is there a minimum number that is expected to be on our committee or any others?
That I have no idea.
I don't know. I was just thinking of that because the proposal that was just laid out, I'm fine with, but it also begs the question, what if we're at a state where we only have 4 people?
Right.
Is that okay as long as we have the positive intention of trying to recruit up to 9?
Yeah.
So I don't expect anybody to have an answer. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Well, I think that's a good point because we are a volunteer committee, and we are actively pursuing to try to have other people involved with it, and we do represent the community. It's called the Environmental Concerns Committee, and we have concerns. So if there's only 4 people on the committee, then it would still make sense to me that's what we have, and so I would think that what you recommended would be fine. I can't see why they would object to that, because we're for the benefit of the community.
Yeah, I don't feel like we need to put a bottom number in there, but you do raise a good point. If we get down to like 3 members on the committee, then that maybe indicates that the committee has lost its relevancy.
Yeah. And that's fine. I didn't consider the question a deal breaker by any stretch.
No, it's a good observation, though.
But other than that, I do support the proposal of the wording of this.
So if somebody wants to make, I guess technically for Robert's rules, we're supposed to have a motion, then discussion. But if anyone wants to make a motion regarding the number of members.
I move that we adopt a committee number of up to 9, and a quorum would be defined as 50% plus 1. No minimum required.
And just a friendly amendment, 50% plus 1 of the current number of members.
As amended by David.
So we've got a motion. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, so the way we're supposed to do it, now we have discussion. Is there any more discussion?
My only thought is, let's just rung it up the flagpole and see what happens.
Yeah,
It's not that big a deal. If they say no, then we'll come back and adopt something else.
my sense from our discussion is it will pass, but let's go ahead and have a vote on this. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that motion passes. What I'd like to do is hit a couple of the other points on the potential edits to the bylaws so that we can put this together and package it and be done with it, send it to the city all at once. So I'm looking here at, I don't think we discussed this last time, but in this, there's a section about officers, and there's an officer listed for secretary. That is new to this committee. I don't believe it has to be filled if it's in the bylaws. What are people's thoughts? Should we keep that? Should we remove that? Any opinions whatsoever?
Is this something new that the city would like to see all advisory committees adopt?
If I'm not mistaken, I thought it had something to do with, if you look under Robert's rules, there's always a secretary that is part of the committee. So I think, if I remember correctly, that's the reason why it was put in there as part of the draft, but I may be wrong.
Justin, do you have any insight?
Yeah, that sounds right. And then it's just to standardize. Other boards in CPED have secretaries. So just as standardizing all the boards.
It is a standard position. My only question, and I don't know, I can't imagine Justin will have the answer for this, but if you do, if we have that position in our bylaws and we don't fill it, is that a problem?
Yeah, that I couldn't say.
Okay. So I think that when we're finished with this, I might include that as a question to get more information, if that would cause problems.
So my question is, how is the role of secretary defined?
It's laid out in here, yeah.
Communications, minutes?
No, the minutes will still be done by the city staff.
Okay.
It's to kind of generalize, it's the person responsible for correspondence, bringing correspondence to the ECC, and they are the kind of the third in line. If the chair and the vice chair aren't here, the secretary runs meetings. But think of it as that third person to run the meeting and then to deal with communications.
Would communications automatically then be routed to that person? Like someone emails the ECC, would then that be the route? You know, if it came in through 311, would it then go to the secretary?
It inform the ECC of all correspondence relating to business of the ECC and to attend to such correspondence. So it sounds like all communications will be routed through that person. That's not meaning that that person is obligated to handle the responses solely. Bring them to the committee, and then the committee can advise. But it does seem like that would make one of your responsibilities would be watching the email account. Also, looking at it, the responsibility to run the election in January. So,
I'd just like a little more clarity as to if we are able to say yay or nay to having a secretary.
Okay.
So I'd just be curious. And if it's yay, you're going to have to, then we can make that decision.
My only concern would be if we have that officer position listed and not filling it causes a problem for us to be able to function. And as long as that's not a problem, we can have the position and it's filled or it's not filled as well, you know. Okay. Does anybody object to just simply requesting clarification on that? Or does anybody have a strong preference to have it removed? Okay. And for anybody waiting to talk to us to call in, I did get a message that somebody was on hold. We will get to you shortly. All right. Then this section 6, I think we discussed this. There's the typo in there, but we can take care of that. That's simple editorial. But then the thing that I am concerned about is section 6 is about our meetings. And it starts off with regular meetings in City Hall at 4:30 p.m. on the blank blank of each month. I think that we should take out the specific meeting times, because one of the things we do each year in January or December is set the calendar for the upcoming year. And having it in the bylaws takes away. Now, I've been on the committee for, I don't know, 3+ years, and we've always met at 4:30 on the third Wednesday. But putting it in there means that it can't change. So something that I think we could change it to some language about regular monthly meetings at City Hall.
How would the general public know what dates?
We set our calendar in, like I said, December or January, and then those are all added to the city's calendar.
Okay,
So they do have to be posted.
okay,
I think the minimum is 30 days notice.
okay.
We can leave it if people prefer, or we can try to create more flexibility.
My opinion is to make it more flexible, especially for those who just get out of work and want to attend if they have a 9 to 5.
I don't know. I come from the school of, it's there, it's a marker, it makes it simple, it's consistent. And granted, I'm in a position where I'm retired, so I understand that. But that doesn't mean, I still like the idea of just a set time every month. It just, for me, it makes it, when I was in charge of scheduling anyway, it just makes it easier for me to plan around it. But that's my opinion.
Justin, would there be an issue with the city in regards to availability, or would that need to be coordinated?
I don't know. Like, it was said, we set the meetings a year in advance. So, but I mean, having fluctuating meeting times, I don't know how that would help. If we meet at 5:30 in January and then 4:30 in February and then 6:30 in September, I don't know if that gets us anything. We'd have to make sure this room is open.
Yeah, I don't think fluctuating times are good, because that gets confusing, like Steve was saying. But there might be maybe we want to play with the meeting time and see if meeting at 5:30 instead of 4:30 changes the potential for people's participation, and then set the whole year's calendar at 5:30 instead of 4:30. Not saying that that's a suggestion, but giving us that option to pursue when we set the calendar at the end of the year.
That makes sense to me. I agree. I don't think having fluctuating times throughout the year makes sense, but leaving it open for us to decide year by year what works makes sense to me.
I agree, year by year makes sense. The one question I had was I know the bylaws seem to be staying for X amount of time. How often are bylaws reviewed?
We can edit and update the bylaws at any point, but it has been, I think the last version of the bylaws I found before now was 2017, so it's been 7-8 years since we've last, had this conversation.
And then just to further clarify, setting the meetings annually, that information that comes from that is posted on the city's website, and that's it. It doesn't go into a paper document of bylaws. I'm not sure what I guess it just goes right on the website.
I don't know the answer to that. I know it will be posted on the city's website in terms of their meeting, the schedule meetings, but it'll also go on the ECC part of the city page. I don't know if it would go anywhere else or be available anywhere else.
Yeah, it'd be on Civic Clerk, it'd be on the ECC's webpage, on the city's website. And then, people could print or take that with them through there. Might be posted in some of the city newsletters or something like that as well.
So going off of what I just heard, I would support it just taking out of the bylaws the time and then reviewing it annually for the regular display of the meeting time.
I'm not entirely comfortable with that idea. I just don't like leaving it hanging. I'm kind of more in Steve's court on this one, on this set it and leave it. People adopt their schedules to what life is like. I mean, if you talk to city commissioners, they have middle of the day meetings where they have to get off work to attend. I'm not saying that we have to do it that way. The only compromise I would suggest is to say we currently meet at this time and this date, but could be amended at the December meeting to a annual schedule. I don't know if that's too complicated or not.
I like that idea of saying in the bylaws, if you can amend it every December, whichever.
So we can take that approach with this being in the bylaws. Like I said, we can amend the bylaws at every single meeting if we so choose.
I hope we don't.
Yes, but so we could make that one of our December points, just to review that and see if we want to make that change. And if so, we'll just have to remember that we can't just make the meeting change. It will also have to be a bylaws change at the same time. Which doesn't pose a problem if we have the vote for it at that point.
Just so I'm clear, what are you proposing?
No, I just, in response to Rita's point, we can keep the language that says 4:30 PM. We still have to add the third Wednesday because there's blanks in there. And then if in December we choose, I'd have to look if it's December or January, but one of those meetings, if we choose that we want to try a different schedule, we can change the next year's meetings accordingly.
All right, that makes sense to me. I don't mind. Again,
Yeah.
I think keeping it in for now, at least, and that can be revisited.
Okay.
If, however the committee feels. I also, just as we're processing this, and hopefully we'll move on to something else, we're not just impacting us. There are other committees, there are other commissions, there are other people that, use this room, right? And so a lot of that is we're planning our schedule, but we're also helping fit in with others too.
Right.
So, but the way you just stated it, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so unless anybody has any objections to what I hear, there's a consensus that we will keep this, the meeting time and date in there for now, and if we decide to choose it when we set our calendar, we can do that. Okay. The only other change that I would like to bring for discussion is, this is under Article 7, which is subcommittees. There is there's a section that explains what subcommittees do, and then there's a sentence at the end of that I would just prefer to strike. That sentence says, subcommittees of the ECC shall not be appointed for any other purpose.
I'm not sure what that means.
So so subcommittees can be 2 to 3 members, assist in obtaining and providing information in the performance of the ECC's duties, shall include federal and state regulations, oversight with respect to city environmental projects, or city projects that may have environmental consequences. And that's it.
Why are you recommending, David, to remove that last statement?
It just seems unnecessarily limiting. I don't see a reason for it to be there.
Actually, I think the intent of it, I do kind of understand. It's to prevent scope creep. In other words, if we're truly supposed to be looking at issues that impact the environment, depending on how that's defined, it could be broad. It could include pretty much anything. So the way I interpret that statement, it's just that. It's just saying, we're going to focus on environmental issues. And that does take into account of a lot of things if you think about it. Trees, trash collection, water, taking care of water, the air. A lot of those are impacting. But I think the intent of that statement is simply to, again, prevent scope creep so it doesn't go beyond what we're chartered to really do. Again, that's my take.
Well, one question I have is, how did we arrive at the number of subcommittees we have right now?
It's a historical artifact.
It is?
Yeah, there is nothing in the current or proposed or past versions of the bylaws or the ordinance that gives any guidance on what subcommittees exist. They basically exist because at some point, someone on the committee was interested in an issue and they created, like the ELPA, I think the Asylum Lake Preserve has only been on there, I believe, since the car wash fiasco.
Okay.
So it was something that was pertinent, so people wanted it. So that's what I've said before. We can always get rid of any of these committees that we don't feel continue to be relevant, or add new ones. It's at our discretion. I don't, hearing Stephen, I think that's fine, particularly because looking this over, thinking about it, the first sentence, the ECC may appoint, so it does, in essence, give us the opportunity to define, because the question is, how do we, who defines environment? But if it does say that the ECC may appoint, there's nothing in there about city staff or commission being involved in the selection or creation of those committees. So we still get the opportunity to define environment. In which case, I think we don't need to make a suggestion. Does anybody have any discussion on that?
I apologize if this is not right on track. I don't necessarily have an opinion about the subcommittees of the ECC shall not be appointed for any other purpose. In my opinion, it feels redundant in the previous sentence. It feels like that stated what the purposes were. But I do understand why it's there too. But what I wanted to speak about was if we do discuss revising or condensing these committees, how would I go about that? Just bringing in a template of what could be condensed or removed, or?
I think that'd be a great thing to raise as a new business suggestion, and then we'd carry it over into the next meeting as an unfinished business and discuss it further and potentially take votes on it.
Thank you.
So unless anybody has other concerns or issues with the bylaws, I can take what the attorney provided us, make just the few edits that we suggested, which are the membership numbers and the quorum, and then adding the third Wednesday on meetings, because currently just has the time, and I don't believe there's anything else.
I agree with what you said.
So what I will do is I will make those changes. I'll circulate them to everyone, because we've already voted on, but just to give you an opportunity, and then I will, at that point, and I'll give you like a week to look at it, and then I'll send it to Justin and ask him to take it to the city attorney and make sure that we have what we need. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't believe we need a motion on that. Okay. Any other unfinished? Let me look at my notes here. Okay, so we don't have anything else listed on unfinished business or anything I'm missing?
I do have a question. This might go for unfinished business next time or new business next time. In the bylaws, it says subcommittees can be 2 to 3 members. Can it also be 1 member? Is that?
I think we should change that to 1 to 3.
Yeah, I fully support that. As the only member on the Waste Committee, yes.
Good catch.
I agree as well. I would like to have a backup.
Does anybody have any dissenting opinions on that? Just changing it from 2 to 3 to 1 to 3.
I have no objection.
Okay.
None.
I don't think we need a vote on that. Okay.
All right.
Okay. In the interest of keeping us moving, In terms of new business, I sent around an idea towards a proposal that we could debate. I just sent it to people today, so I don't expect to have a discussion on it today. We can have an initial discussion on it, but I wanted people to think about that so we can begin to move forward on that issue for next month, unless people would like to begin a discussion today.
I'd just like a little more time, especially to read through. You were kind enough to attach the GSA piece, so
Yeah.
I haven't had time to read through all that.
No, I didn't expect anyone would, but, and you'll see I pretty much adapted this guideline that's proposed for the federal GSA to see how it could apply to the city. And, it's not going to be accepted at the city commission anyways, but it's good to have that to force that discussion.
No, I agree with that. I would just propose, let's move it to September's meeting to give us time.
But I just wanted to see, make sure everybody's aware of it, and let you know we'll discuss single-use plastic purchasing policy as part of the unfinished business next month. Okay. Any other new business that people would like to bring to our attention?
Yes, I was looking on the website for the Unazoo City. It is the link for resources for students. When you click on Unazoo City, the link does not work.
So I'm not familiar with Unazoo City. What is this?
I was not either until I looked at the resources for students at kalamazooCity.org. It is, Unazoo City is an event series to engage college students in local government, current issues, and our community.
Can you?
Yeah, that was an initiative by a staff member who left, looking to fill that position, and that may or may not be picked up. It was an attempt to get students downtown. There were scavenger hunts and things like that.
So it is currently non-functioning?
Yeah, there's nobody to oversee at the moment.
Okay. There's an answer.
Perfect. I'm not sure what happens next if it gets removed or not, but it is on there, so I just want to let you guys know that. And then I just wanted to announce that it's on the city's website as well. The request for free water filters can be made by residents in Kalamazoo. They are NSF certified, and one filter can be picked up at 415 East Stockbridge Avenue. A free faucet or a pitcher-style filter will be provided.
Very good. Any other potential new business?
The only thing I'd like to say maybe we could focus in on, or at least look at, is the city's Imagine 2035 plan that's coming up. It's a pretty big deal. They've taken a lot of public input. I believe that the city's going to be putting forth a draft here shortly. I have yet to seen it, but it would be nice to get the input of this board and hopefully some of the public call in regards to what they've seen and how we can move forward with that, because they are going to be addressing residential zoning in September as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty important issue that should be talked about.
Yeah, I agree. Justin, I don't know how that would happen, but it does seem like it is the purview of the ECC, reviewing the bylaws and the ordinance, in recent times, that the city is supposed to at least make the commission aware, the ECC, if there are environmental issues before the city. So it might be useful for the ECC to get an opportunity to review that plan as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make sure you all get a draft. We could even work on getting the city planner in here to discuss anything with you.
Okay. Appreciate that. Any other potential new business? Okay, so
All right,
then.
oops, sorry,
Go
I'll
ahead.
go. There's a Solarize event on Thursday. Solarize is a kind of a bulk purchase solar program. We held one last year. I might have said this before. 12 people purchased solar panels in Kalamazoo, put them on their homes, generates 52 kilowatts. We're looking to do that or better at this event. That'll be at Bell's at 6 o'clock on the 28th of August. And then, but working with GLERA, some researchers, or not GLERA, GLESA, some researchers at the University of Michigan, and they gave us climate projections for the City of Kalamazoo, going forward. So if anyone's interested, it's on the city's website. It's under Sustainability Plans and Reports, and you can look at the climate profile of Kalamazoo going into the future, into 2059. I won't kind of go through all this, but this is all there for the public. And then the Great Lakes region at large, just kind of what the world will look like in the future. So interesting stuff on the website.
Thank you.
If you just Google Kalamazoo sustainability, it'll come up, sustainability in our environment, and then you go here to plans and reports, and you can find our sustainability plan, greenhouse gas reports, and the climate projections right there.
Good. Anything else before we move to comments? Okay, do we have anybody on the line? No, maybe you should give the number. Okay, I'm going to give the number again, but that may not have. Okay, so the number again is 888-382-9556. Again, that's 888-382-9556. Nothing there? Okay, so I do know that there is someone who wants to speak with us about an issue of air quality. Maybe we can get some information that I will share to everybody via email. It has to do with, there is a project ongoing through a couple of individuals, I believe, who are on the Foundation for Excellence, looking to get support for a program to purchase air filters for residents and institutional buildings such as schools. I will see if I can get some more information on that because I know the ask is for us to make a recommendation to the city in support of that project. So I'll get more information and share that with everybody so we can move forward. Okay, no public audiences or public comments from the audience. So commissioner comments. Thomas, we'll start on your end.
No comments.
No comments?
Nothing here.
No comment.
I actually do have one comment about the air filters, about the Foundation of Excellence wants. Are these air filters for smaller rooms or for like the large whole building like the schools? Would they be individuals or is that for the general entire?
I would love to say that I know, but I don't. I just know that schools are the target application for the filters. That much I know. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Yep.
No comment.
Okay. Then, seeing no other business, we are adjourned.
Yep. Thank you, David.
Okay, everybody, think about being vice chair, or else I'm just going to not be here and see who runs the meeting, and you'll be vice chair.